We are joined in studio this morning by Hilliard Macbeth, and he is the author of a book that has many people concerned. It is titled When the Bubble Bursts, Surviving the Canadian Real Estate Crash. He believes that currently we are in a real estate bubble and it's about to burst. How are you so certain about that?
Well, it's what happened in the United States and other countries in the world when the house prices rise so much that incomes don't keep up, and people pay for their housing out of their incomes. So there's kind of a myth there that the house price goes up double and triple, and people make a profit on that. But that's not correct, because nobody ever sells their house and moves to a trailer and takes a profit out of their housing. So what they have to do is they have to pay their cost of housing out of their income.
So tell us exactly how this would work then. You're saying that the biggest losers in this whole thing will be
the people that the most vulnerable group I find is the people that are between 30 and 50 years old. They're called the Generation X, and they have gone kind of all in on housing, putting all of their savings into the equity in their home, and they don't have much in the way of RSPs or mutual funds or stocks or bonds or GICs outside of that. So they also have a lot of debt attached to their housing. So if the housing bubble bursts, prices go down, I'm predicting 40 to 50%.
40 to 50% drop in the price of a home.
Yes, yes.
So for instance, if somebody currently owns, let's say 20 years ago, somebody bought a home for, they took out a mortgage for, let's say, $400,000 or $600,000, and the price goes down, that means that they're not going to cut any profit when they try to sell their house.
No, it might get worse than that. They might actually have trouble rolling over the mortgage. So it wouldn't be somebody that bought 20 years ago. They would be in good shape because prices have basically tripled in 20 years. It would be the people that have bought recently with very large. So the government has a program called CMHC that provides insurance to the lender, not to the buyer, but to the lender. And that allows the lender to borrow or to lend as much as 95% of the cost of a home. So if home prices drop even 20 or 30%, then people will owe more on the home than the home is worth.
But what about people who say, even if my home price drops 20 or 30%, well, it's going to go back up?
People say that, and that's true. But what they're talking about is they're hoping that it's a 1 or 2 year deal. But in the past, when bubbles have burst in housing, and it's happened many, many times all over the world, it's been more like a 10-year thing. So 10 years is a long time.
Why is this happening? I mean, I don't think that we're not having the same subprime mortgage crisis that they had in the States.
Our financing is different. So because we have the government insurance, the lenders are not at risk the way they were in the United States. The lenders in the United States got into trouble because they couldn't refinance all of the loans that they had made. But in Canada, if the mortgages get into trouble, the government insurance program will take over the risk. So it's not the same. We do have the same risky lending, but it's not called subprime lending because there's government insurance under CMHC.
But what's behind why the housing prices have been going up so much?
Well, there's been two things in Canada. We've been very fortunate with commodity prices, with the oil price and iron ore in Quebec and copper. There's all of the things that we do in the last few years have been in our favor. The prices, for instance, the price of oil goes to $100. The price of an iPhone drops dramatically. Well, maybe not an iPhone, but smartphones in general, right? So we've been benefiting from this. And so we've been feeling very rich, and we've been buying houses. And with the generous financing that's available, the house prices have gone up 2.5 times in the last 15 years.
So I guess when the bubble bursts, that would be a good time to buy.
Yes, exactly. And the people that are renting now, so the people that will be the big winners out of this are people who haven't bought yet and who are renting, and they'll find that housing becomes much more affordable. And older people that have paid off their mortgages, they don't really need to worry that much, but it's that middle group that is going to be the problem.
So right now, what can that middle group do? The people who just bought homes and are about to experience this bust.
Well, what they should do, if they have too much debt on their properties, is they should sell and move into rental accommodation. But that's not what they're going to do. So
right.
what they'll do is they'll hang on and they'll hope that it comes back. But unfortunately, it's going to be a long process. We had a big bubble bursting that happened in the early 80s. And house prices basically were about the same 15 years later as they were in the early 80s. So that's a long time to hang on paying that expensive mortgage, right? So
you would really suggest that homeowners sell their homes now while the prices are still high and start renting?
If they have a lot of debt. Because
Yeah.
really, people are taking on $500,000, $600,000. I've even talked to people in their age under 30 that have been offered $1 million in mortgage debt to buy a house. And that, that's like a lifetime of debt slavery. That doesn't make any sense to me.
We're running out of time, but I have to ask, people are always wondering about whether it's better to invest in a condo versus a house. In this case, will it make any difference?
Condos are going to be tough because unfortunately they keep building more and more condos. At least with a house, you've got some land. So I would definitely prefer a house over a condo.
Make sure you check out the book Hilliard Macbeth, When the Bubble Bursts. He'll tell you how to protect yourself, and we are doing a giveaway. This book could be yours. You could find out all the tips and tricks to protect yourself. Send your emails to ammtl@globalnews.ca. Thank you so much for that today.
Thank you.